Dave Mowers.
The worst part of my temp job at the neuropsychiatric surgery unit of the Emory University Children's Hospital was that you can't smoke. I mean, I smoke all the time. For me, smoking is more than smoking, it's religion. You know, in the morning when I light a match, I invoke the goddess Pele, goddess of fire, and I swallow that fire and I control it. I ingest it and I own it, and I breathe it out as smoke, you know? It's a primal illusion of control. And so there I was in this temp job, and I couldn't smoke. To smoke, you had to go out 3 sets of security doors that were activated with a card, and then around the corner, outside sliding doors, to stand at the ashtray. I took a break like every 20 minutes, and it took 20 minutes to get there, so I was only working like 20 minutes a day. The only reason that I was even in Atlanta is because that's where the van stopped. I had this job for a year before that, which I rode around in a van in Florida, and it left me with nothing. No money, no skills, nothing but a habit. I called it my 2x12 habit. 2 packs of cigarettes and 12 ounces of vodka every day. That's pretty much all I had. And so I needed this job because I had to pay for that. The second worst part of my job, my temp job at the neuropsychiatric surgery unit of the Emory University Children's Hospital, is that I was completely unqualified for it. I somehow managed to convince them that I typed 80 words per minute and that I knew how to use WordPerfect. It was a long time ago. And that I liked children and that I was comfortable in a smoke-free environment. None of those things were true. So the real problem was that my boss, Livonia, was on to me from the start. She was this huge, enormous black woman, you know, and she was put together. I mean, this girl was done. She came up every morning from Southeast Atlanta to keep Emory University running smoothly. And she had like all her big black curves packed into these bold knit suits with bright primary colors, and her hair was done. You know, it was a beaten up. The higher the hair, the closer to God. And every morning she got up like at 4 o'clock in the morning to do this, and she had the nails, and I found her equally fascinating and terrifying. So on the first day, she showed me to my cubicle, and she told me that she was creating the annual report for the Emory University Neuropsychiatric Surgical Unit at the Emory University Children's Hospital, and that my job was to input the curriculum vitae of all 50 doctors who worked there. And she asked me if I had any questions, and I said, yeah, what's a curriculum vitae? And she didn't laugh at all. She just looked at me and said, it's an academic resume. And I said, oh, well, you know, academics were never my strong point. And she still didn't laugh. So I said, do you have any questions for me? And she said, yeah, why do you smell like smoke? And I said, oh, my roommate's a chain smoker. So that started out the 2-week job. And every day she would kind of march around behind me, bigger than me and scary, saying like, I want to see copies of your work thus far. And, you know, I didn't know how to use the computer, so I'd have to make up a lie to send her out of the room and then call the help desk and find out what to do. And so, you know, after the first day, I learned the command for save, so that was good. And then after the 3rd day, I learned the command for open, so I didn't have to keep starting a new document every day. And after 2 weeks, on the last day, Livonia arrived early, and she was right on my back. She was like, I want to see copies of the finished product, please. And I was like, And, you know, she wouldn't go away, and so I couldn't call the help desk, so I just started pressing F keys, because that seemed to work. And nothing happened except the computer flashed and went black, and then flashed and went black, and then flashed and went black, like black. And it was gone. All of it was gone, you know, and it wasn't like in the garbage or on the hard drive. It was gone. And, you know, I was like, Livonia, I think I might need a little help here, you know? And she sat down and she tried everything she could think of, and she could not pull it out. And she swiveled back around in that chair and she looked at me and said, I am gonna kill you. in that way that black girls say it, where you believe them, you know? And I started to beg. I was like, please don't kill me, please. Please, God, don't kill me. Listen, I'll do anything. I will stay here all night and type it in. I swear to God. I will stay all weekend and type it in. Please don't kill me. Oh my God, please don't kill me. I'll do it for free, right? And she didn't have a choice. It was either she was going to type it in or I was going to type it in. So we came up with this plan where she locked me in the office at the end of the night, and I was just going to type all night long, right? And then when I couldn't take it anymore, I could get out of the office and leave the doors locked, and I'd meet her again the next morning and do it like for 16 hours on Saturday and 16 hours on Sunday. So on that Friday night, I found myself around 9:30, like typing with 2 fingers and crying. And I was like, she's gonna kill me. Because I was realizing it would actually take 2 40-hour work weeks to type this in, even if you did know how to type. And you know, it had been 4 hours since my last cigarette. I was shaking and crying and typing with 2 fingers, and finally I just decided, fuck it, I'm having a cigarette. So, you know, I reached into my bag and I got a Camel Light 100 and I invoked the goddess Pele, and I like breathed out and I started to pull it together a little bit, you know, and so now I was typing with 1 finger and crying and smoking. And I was ashing into this styrofoam cup that I'd used for coffee. And I sort of pulled it together and I started to type out tristriptophilic suturing. And that's when I smelled this little acrid puff of chemical smoke. And I looked down and saw that my match had burned through the coffee cup. And that's when I became aware of like the white smoke billowing up from the waste paper basket. It fell into the waste paper basket and caught fire. And so just when I saw the smoke, that's when the alarm went off. Blah, 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 really loud. And I was kind of panic-stricken. I looked around, and then I was like, okay, just do something. So I like picked it up, and I started to run around looking for a way to put it out. And that's when the sprinklers came on and just deluged the whole room with water. And yet the basket continued to flower with flame, and I found myself running between all 3 desks. You know, my desk, Livonia desk, reception desk, nothing. And this water would not put out the basket no matter how I held it, so I threw it down and I grabbed the only liquid I could find, the bottle of vodka from my bag. And I poured it out and poof, right? Like, so I'm now looking at this flaming basket while the rain pours down, and that's when I heard the electric pop of fire from the keyboard, because the computer was on, and so it electrocuted, right? And in the rain. And I just started crying, and I wanted to get out, but I thought if I get out, I'm out. and I started to cry, and that's when I heard this ripping sound. And there was an axe coming through the door, hacking out that electronic security swiper, and the guts poured out on either side of the door frame, and the door swung open, and like a miracle from God, the rain stopped, and backlit in fluorescent light was the silhouette of this enormous fireman. And he looks and he's just a silhouette, and he says, "Is there a fire here?" And I just lost my shit. I was like, "Yes, please help me! Oh my God! Oh my God, it's all there in the water!" And this fireman opened his arms and held me. And I could feel my face press against his t-shirt, you know, the mounds in his chest, and I was like, oh my God. And he goes, "You got a name, guy?" And I said, yes, Bruce. My name is Bruce. And he goes, "What a coincidence. That's my name, too." And I was like, oh my God. And all the other firemen came in, like slushing into the water, and they were like, "Is there a fire?" And Bruce goes, "There was an electrical fire, but Bruce here put it out." Like, he covered for me. And I was like, "Thanks, Bruce." And he said, "So we're going to need to take a statement from you down at the firehouse. Where do you live?" And I said, "Midtown by the park," which is code for gay, gay, gay. And he goes, "What a coincidence. I live down there, too." And I was like, oh, my God. And he's like, "Listen, why don't I'll drive you down to the firehouse, take the report, and then I'll drop you off at home, all right?" And I was like, "Thank you." And so like I gathered up all the incriminating evidence, the burned coffee cup and the cigarettes and the matches and the bottle of vodka, and I threw it in my bag, and I waded out through all 3 hacked open security doors with the primal illusion of hope. You know, I thought, okay, I have no money, I have no skills, I have no job. Livonia will kill me if she finds me, but I have a date with a fireman. A gay fireman. And I got outside and I immediately lit up a Camel Light 100, and that's when the Datsun B210 pulled up. And I remember it pulled up underneath the spill of the light outside in the parking lot, and Livonia spilled out, because she was on the call list for the alarm, you know? And she spilled out wearing purple sweatpants, and her hair was not done. It was down and out and all over the place. And she came screaming up the block at me and saw me and was like, "Oh no, you are so fired." And I ran. I ran away from Emory University. But I did meet Bruce at the fire department, and I gave a report, and he said his day off was the following Tuesday, and he really did take me out to dinner. And we went to dinner at a place called Vickery's, and I had 12 ounces of vodka, and I maintained this illusion the whole time that my name was in fact Bruce, and that I had in fact worked it out with the neuropsychiatric surgery unit of the Emory University Children's Hospital, and that they weren't going to press charges. And at the end of the night, I thought it was going great, and he walked me to my door, and like at the door, he held me one more time, and I like leaned into him, and I thought, this is great, he's coming inside, and I said, "So why don't you come in?" And he said, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I could never seriously date a smoker."
Dave Mowers.